Good morning, everyone. So, this video is because I wanted to touch base on the reason why I did the advocating video. And the reasons why I did it, and the reasons why I thought, I was kind of iffy about it. And I'm going to tell you why. So, I did an advocating video because I had a staff person filling in for the one who I have on vacation. And she's going to be returning on Monday. Yes, Monday. But there were a few things that she did that wasn't right, and a few things that she did was right. So, and I want to talk about her routine and what exactly happened and all that. So, I had her Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So, Sunday, she came in. We did medicate. Well, we filled up pill boxes, water. We did cleaning and all that. So, Sunday was good. Sunday was a good day. We did a lot, but everything was good on Sunday. No issues on Sunday. Monday, my husband and I ordered out, so we ate. And then she's like, oh, well, I can just sit here and just get paid. Not do anything but just get paid. Well, technically, that's not how this works. I mean, we played a few games, but while I was trying to come up with something to do, and then by the time I did come up with something to do, she had to leave. So technically, that was, I think, my fault on that end, because we did everything on Saturday. Not Saturday, Sunday. Saturday was a snow day. So that was technically no one to blame on that one, I think, on that. But, so, but Tuesday was a little bit different on Tuesday. So, basically, she came in on Tuesday. We did a budgeting and meal planning, and then after that, we went out and we went to the dollar store. We went to Martin's. We went to the pharmacy, and we came back here. So when we went to the dollar store, she asked me if she could get something to eat. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, staff needing something to eat during shift, or if they need to stop and at, Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever, or wherever they have to stop to pick up lunch or dinner. I'm okay with those things. It's allowed. I'm okay with those things, or getting gas, whatever. Those are okay if they need to do those things. But Martin, she wanted to go and look at outfits to see, oh, well, I can't buy that because I didn't have the money right now to get that. So she was there mostly shopping for her. So. But, sorry, I just thought I heard something. So technically, when staff or whoever your services are working with you, they cannot do their own shopping. They can't go out and do their own errands or do shopping or whatever when they are on shift with you. I mean, if they need to do certain things and you say it's okay, then, they'll do it. But, like, I have somebody who does her own grocery shopping when she's with me. Technically, doing their own grocery shopping is not allowed. Because, they're there for you. They're not. So, that there's a difference between being able to do something and being able not to do something. So let's say they needed an oil change or their car washed on your shift. It is up to you to say yes or no on that, because technically that can be taken care of after shift. But if they're on shift and they ask you, it's okay. It's okay to say yes or no. It's okay to say no as well. So you do have those options of saying no or yes. Because oil changes don't really take that long, or car washes don't take that long. You just go in and they wash the car. Oil changes may take a little bit, but it's all depending. It's up to you if you want to wait that long or not. So, I mean, it is okay to say no on oil change, because they can do that at any time. They can do that after work, working with you. But yeah, if they need a lunch, or if they're picking up a snack or a soda when you're in the store, that's technically is okay. If they have a later shift, if they're working, let's say, 10:30 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, they're gonna get hungry. So yeah, technically it is okay. I mean, they can bring their own food from home, or they may go, if you're out and about, they may ask, is it okay if I get something to eat? Technically it should be okay for them to do that, but then for them to do their own shopping, like grocery shopping, or looking at other things on your shift, then yeah, technically that is not okay. Grocery shopping, or like looking for clothing, or looking for dresses, or looking for other things, like I said, that is not okay. Excuse me, sorry. Sorry, my throat's kind of dry. I need some more coffee. But yeah, those things. So there is a difference between doing things and not doing things. So so those are the differences of what's okay and what's not. I mean, I'm sure, the people that they're working for are okay with those things. So, but yeah, those are typically the differences between what is okay and what's not. So, I wanted to point those things out. So, back to the story. When we got back home, and we were talking about meal planning, I started making dinner. I was having like a stir fry. I made a stir fry. I cut pork chops up. I had made it with rice. But when I was cooking the pork chops, I had a lid that had a metal rim. So when I was cooking, I picked up the lid and it got me on my arm. So I don't know if you can see that, but it actually got, you can't really see it right now. I think it's starting to fade, but I actually burnt my arm on the metal lid when I was trying to cook. Do you think she asked me if I was okay? She never asked me if I was okay. She never acknowledged that I got burned. She's sitting there on her phone, not even acknowledging that I burnt myself, or asking me if I was okay, not telling me to put it under cold water. She just didn't acknowledge it. She just went back to her phone, you know. My husband was the one who asked me if I was okay, and he was also the one who told me to put it under cold water. And I took a break. I sat down to take a break because after that, I was, when something like that happens, you're not going to want to cook anymore after, so someone takes over. So he took over for me, cooking my dinner, because for me it set off a little bit of PTSD. And so for those who don't know what that is, I will get into that later, about what PTSD is. But when I was a little girl, or when I was younger, I had fallen into a pile of ashes that was still going, and I fell and I burnt my knees, I burnt my hands, and so ever since then I've been afraid of the stove, the oven, or even cooking on the grill. I won't even cook on the grill. And the stove and the oven I'm still working on to cook on. So burning myself kind of set off a little bit of that. So basically, so after that happened, I sat down, I ate my dinner, and so it kind of was like, but she was here for a little, but she still wasn't acknowledging, or she really wasn't, I don't know, it just like, she was like, oh, this happened, and she goes back to her phone. Technically, what, I feel like she is not well experienced or well trained in doing this type of work, but that's me. Technically, because I feel that when you're trained, like if you get burned, staff are supposed to provide first aid, or even acknowledging, are you okay, put your arm under cold water, let's take a look at it to see, look at your arm. Normally they're supposed to be doing an incident or a report, or letting people know, okay, on my shift, so and so burnt their arm, or so and so hurt themselves, or things like that, letting people know that this is what happened. So let people know that this happened. Technically, you're supposed to let people know that these things happen, but she didn't do any of that. She just sat there playing on her phone, and then until the time she left. So we really didn't do too much until the time she left. So I was just like, So we're sitting here talking because she's supposed to have a shift with other people besides me. So what? She's like, oh, we're talking and all that. Oh, I said, oh, well, I'll have you back here, or I'll let people know that I like you, and I'll see if I can get more work with you. And so technically I'm not, but I'm not gonna say it to her. I was being polite because she lives a little bit far away and she wanted people closer to her to work with. But then, of course, I have an opening on Tuesdays that they were trying to fill. But then, like I said in the other video, I was a little unsure about having her work with me after that, because technically I'm not really sure if I wanted her to work with me again after Tuesday, after everything that went on this week, those couple of days that I had her. I mean, I'm not saying it to be mean. She is a nice girl, or a nice woman. I should say woman because she's, an adult. She is a nice person, but I think to be doing this job, I think she probably needs a little bit more training. To be honest, I think she needs a little bit more training. And that's how I feel about that. Kind of reminds me of my other staff person named Ian, but he wasn't that bad. I mean, he did help me on some things, so he wasn't really too bad. I mean, as far as the falling asleep on shift and doing the phone thing and all that. But he did help me in some ways. So, not to throw him under the bus, because he was good in some ways. In some ways he wasn't. And I'm not going to hold that against him, because I think maybe he needed more training too. And but to me, I think she was here more for the money than to be here for the client. There is a lot of red flags on that, because we were doing dishes one day, and she's like, oh, well, that antique, do you know how much that's worth? That's worth almost $300, maybe more. And so when she said that, it kind of clicked on me, saying, nope, she's not helping me with my budgeting or anything like that, because I was afraid that if I had her help me with my online banking, that she would steal money out of my account. Not that she would, but still, I'm very, very cautious about who helps me with my money. And who sees my banking, who does my budgeting. I am very, very skeptical on those things. So, also that, so a few things were a little red flags to me. Because she was selling things on Marketplace, but the thing is, not just that, but she was doing that when she was here at work. She could have done that when she was at home or not at work. And not acknowledging that your client had an emergency is another red flag for me. Technically, she was supposed to be helping me with cooking because that's part of their job. That's part of the goal, is them helping me with cooking. Or to check on me to make sure or to check on me to see if I needed any help. Those type of things. So, when they didn't do that, that to me is another red flag. And just in general, that to me, I had to tell her what her job was and what she had to do to help me, and what I needed to work on and help. And it's like, she should know all this already, because with them, well, with a staff person, I don't know if any other agency has this, but when you get a client, you get your client's goals on their phone. They get the goals of what their client's supposed to be working on and what you're supposed to be working on with the client on these particular goals. And so when she came in, she just kind of sat down and did her own thing instead of being, hey, let's do this or let's do that. Oh, do you have cleaning to do today? Let's do that. Or if you got some, let's do some, let's do some menu planning. Did you do your budget yet? Or should we work on that? Or, things like that. If we haven't had things done yet, So, those are the type of things that they're supposed to be working on. Any goals that you guys have set for yourself or anything like that, those are what you're supposed to be working on together. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing you do. I mean, you can do other fun things. Like me, at the end of the day, before my end of shift, we'll play a game, or, we'll do something different. Like, sometimes we'll go for a car ride, It doesn't necessarily have to be just that one, just working on goals. You guys can do other things besides that, too. Like, sometimes I like going for a walk, But those type of things. I feel that if you're only doing the job for the money, or you're not ready to do that job, then maybe you shouldn't be in this kind of field, But that's technically how I feel on that. I'm sorry, I'm starting to ramble. Let's get back to the reasons why I'm doing this video. So, when, we'll call her Donna. When Donna was texting me to see if I wanted to work with Stacy, not real name. Donna is also not real name. I'm changing the name for the video to be for confidentiality. So when Donna asked me about Stacy, Um, or she was texting me, but I didn't know what to say on that. So, and then she started texting Mark, who I have. Um, you've seen my routine, so you know who Mark is. Um, so she was asking Mark to ask me like what I thought about Stacy and if I wanted to work with her on Tuesdays from 1 to 7:30. And so I was like, okay. And they're like, well, Jamie hasn't gotten back to me yet, so can you let me know what's going on? So, um, when we were walking through the grocery store because we were doing grocery shopping at this time, uh, he was asking me, to let them know to call them about her, and then he was asking me a little bit, or we were talking about her, and so he's like, well, they want you to let them know about her because if Stacy was going to be coming in on Tuesday, or if I wanted her to work with me on Tuesdays, they needed to find out so they could let her know. So when we got back here, let me put this down. I almost dropped it a few times. And I was gonna dial to let them know about her. And then he's like, hang up. And I'm like, what? He's like, hang up. And I'm like, okay. So I hung up. And he said, well, you seem like you're unsure about yourself, or unsure about what's going on. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, do you want her, or do you not want her? Because there are some things that I liked about her and some things I didn't like about her. And I told you a few minutes ago on why. And he's like, well, it seems to me like you don't want her. And he could read me pretty well. He knew I didn't want her. He was like, if you don't want her, let them know that. But don't just have her work with you because she needs the money, or because you're doing it for her. What do you want? And I was asking my husband about it, asking what his thoughts were on it, and he said the same thing, that he didn't think that I should work with her because of the past couple of days' experience, and she didn't get up when there was an emergency, so he felt that I shouldn't work with her either. So basically, he's like, we'll take tonight to think about it, and then tomorrow call them back and let them know how you feel. It doesn't have to be her. Like on Tuesdays, it didn't have to be just that particular staff person. They can look for somebody else to work with me on that day. So don't feel that I have to make an obligation to that person. And technically, they were right. Like, I didn't have to say yes to her about that because basically, technically, I didn't want her, but I was only saying yes because of those other reasons. And he's like, don't say yes. Don't say anything right now. Think about it and call them back in the morning. So, excuse me. So, Friday morning, I called Donna, and not real name, of course. And I told her that I was feeling skeptical about it. And so when I called her, I explained why. I also let her know that Mark told me to think about it, and we went over the reasons why. But basically, too, it was up to me. It was up to me if I wanted to have her or not. And so when I talked to Donna, I said, there's a few reasons why I didn't want Stacy. So I explained to her everything that happened on Sunday, everything that happened on Tuesday, and I explained to her everything that happened on Tuesday, even the me burning myself, her not acknowledging it, and her just playing on her phone and saying, "Oh, well, I can just sit here and get paid." Technically, no, you can't. You need to be doing something with your client in order to get paid. So, basically, after our conversation, she's like, "Thank you for that information. That's important feedback for them so that they can actually figure out what they're going to do with that person." And then I said, well, technically, I hope I didn't get that person fired because, I mean, she is a nice woman, but I don't like creating conflict. I don't like, causing people issues, but also, and feeling bad about it, but also, it's very important if there is something going on, you do need to provide that feedback. Even if you feel bad about it, it's still very important that you provide that feedback so that they know what's happening and why you don't want them. And then, so anyway, sorry, getting back to the story. So basically, she's like, well, you don't have to have her. We can look for somebody else, and I said yes, I would like to look for somebody else for those Tuesdays. And then I said for the Tuesdays, I would like to have at least like doing the 1 to 7 instead of the 1 to 7:30, because 1 to 7:30 I think is a little too long for me. I already got people staying later as it is. So I feel that it's just too much. So I advocated that. So that's the reason why I feel that advocating and knowing what you're advocating about is very important. I mean, you don't want to get the person in trouble, and I get that, and I understand that. But also, you need to let them know what kind of staff person that you're dealing with so that you, I mean, because you never know. If she's like that with you, she may be like that with somebody else who actually needs supervision or a lot of supervision, and they may need a lot more help than you do. So, but that's what, So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be like me and be afraid to speak up. I mean, yes, I can advocate for other people when it's other people. But when it comes to me, I still struggle a little bit with that, on speaking up for myself. And sometimes I have to say, well, I gotta listen to my own advice and not be afraid to speak up for myself as well. And I think before I called Donna, I was kind of fighting with myself on whether I should talk to her about them or not. So that is what we did, kind of. But then we also talked about, you know, and then she told me not to be afraid to come to her to talk about these things, because technically, things are not going to get resolved if you don't say anything to them about it. And they're right. And you don't want them to work with other people who need more supervision, who need more help than what they're given. So I think that those are things that are very important, and very important knowledge on what staff can do and what staff can't do. And I think that